Hey everyone, it's Kristen from k.becca, and today I'm going to be making my first ever stretched canvas acrylic pour painting. Up until this point, I've been using 8x10 inch canvas panels, and for this painting, I'm using a 12x12 inch stretched canvas. So my main challenge is going to be making sure that I mix enough paint to cover the canvas, since this is a larger surface than I'm used to working on. Several of you have mentioned that you've been having problems with the canvas panels warping, and this could be happening for a number of different reasons. I personally haven't experienced this, and maybe it's because I tend to use a minimal amount of paint with the panels, or because I don't live in a really humid climate. But I've read that you can sometimes spray the backs of the canvas panels with water before you start working to balance the moisture for after the pour, which helps the panels dry without warping. I haven't tried this myself, so I can't speak for how well this works, but you might want to give it a try. You can also switch over to stretched canvas to avoid issues with warping. This canvas is the Artist's Loft brand from Michaels. These go on sale on a regular basis, and some sizes are also available in bulk for really great prices. I tend to stock up during really good sales. I've had to sort of alter my setup for this canvas since it's larger than I'm used to, so I've got two of the metal trays that I use here, and I had to remove the little plastic shot glasses that I used to raise the canvas from the surface and move them around to work with the 12x12 canvas. When I pulled them off the tray, they actually came off in a big chunk with layers and layers of paint, which is actually kind of cool. I don't have a permanent area to do my paintings in, so this is a temporary solution that will work fine for the time being. The main thing is to make sure that the plastic shot glasses are placed far enough apart that they'll hold the painting when I place it down after pouring. I decided to go a little wild with the colors today, and I'm using about double the amount per color than I use for the 8x10 inch canvas panels, just to make sure that I have enough paint. Instead of bright white, I've got an off-white ivory color here, and I have about 4 tablespoons of that paint in the cup. I also mixed a mustard yellow color and a dark purpley blue color. I've got about 2 tablespoons of each in the cups. I'll list all of the colors that I used to make these colors in the area below the video. Floetrol is the pouring medium that I'm using today, and I'll add it at about a 1:1 ratio to the paints. Then I'll mix it with the paint until I no longer see streaks of the Floetrol. Next, I'll add some silicone oil to each of the paint cups, and I'm adding approximately half a teaspoon of silicone to each color. This is more than I've been using, so we'll see how this affects my results. I'm not going to stir the silicone oil in too much, maybe half a dozen stirs or so per color, so you can still clearly see it swirled in the paint. At the last minute, I decided to do a double flip cup technique since I was still a little unsure about how well just one cup would cover the canvas. So I'll layer the paints into each cup, and I'd say that one cup is about 3/4 of the way full of paint, and the second cup is a little over half full. I did have a good amount of leftover paint, and I covered the cups with the leftover paint with plastic wrap when I was finished with the painting, so I can use those in another painting. I can't do a second one today because I don't have enough room for it. I flipped one cup onto the canvas and did a sort of flip pour thing with the other cup, then I lifted the first cup. I immediately started seeing lots of little cells forming when I started tilting the canvas, so that extra silicone oil definitely helped there, and there was easily enough paint to cover the canvas. After a minute or so of tilting the canvas around, I'm loving what I'm seeing. Lots of cells going on in this painting, and I like the solid area of mustard yellow over to the side because it's a bit of a contrast to the rest of the painting. I tend to work my canvases for longer than I've seen some artists do, and I think this is why I usually end up with lots of smaller cells as opposed to fewer, larger cells. As you tilt the canvas for longer, the larger cells tend to break up into smaller cells. So I'm planning on experimenting with using more paint in the future to see how that affects the cell results, since using more paint means that it'll cover the canvas faster, and I won't need to tilt the canvas around for as long if I don't want to. I do really like the look of lots of little cells, but I also like experimenting to see how results change when you do different things. Okay, I really like how this is looking. I'm still not sure if I'm loving the color palette that I chose, but I enjoy playing around with different color palettes because I never know when I'll find a new one that I love. This canvas took a little over 24 hours to dry, which is a little longer than I'm used to with the 8x10 inch canvas panels, but it was expected since it's a larger surface and I used more paint than I usually do. Here's a look at some of the detail from the painting after it dried, and you can see that the yellow and purpley blue look much darker and more saturated after they dried, which is a plus for me because I hope that they dry darker, especially that purple blue color. You can find a full list of supplies used for this painting in the description area below, or in the area below the video if you're watching on k.becca.com. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did and would like to see more acrylic pour painting projects, it would be great if you'd give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll tune in again soon.